Hello, welcome to this short webinar on change and anxiety. My name is Jo Howarth. I run a company called the Happiness Club, which is an online mental health and wellbeing support service. Members of the Happiness Club receive daily strategies, live webinars, live meditations, and 24/7 access to a qualified counsellor and therapist for ad hoc in the moment support as and when they need it to help them look after their own mental health and well-being. So today I am here to talk to you largely about anxiety. So obviously so far in 2020, we have all been experiencing rather a lot of change. I'm sure you might have noticed. And change is a wonderful thing and also a scary thing. Change is one of the things that as human beings we are most scared of, even when it's change that we want, even when it's change that we are initiating. Change is still scary. It's still something that promotes fear in us because we like to feel safe. One of our basic human needs is to feel safe. And when things change, that safety tends to go out the window, because what will be on the other side of the change, and who will we be on the other side of the change, and how will it be on the other side of the change? And all of these things are unknowns. And so it's a scary thing for us to face, whether we want it or not. And largely during 2020, we haven't wanted the changes that have come. And so that adds to the fear, it adds to the anxiety. Now, anxiety is the emotion that tends to come up a lot, when we're dealing with change. And there's a reason for that I'm going to explain to you. So anxiety, basically, what is anxiety? What happens is we read something, we see something, we watch something, someone says something to us, or we have a thought about something. And very often we take that thought and we wander off down a path into the future with that thought. And at the end of that path in the future are about 60 billion possible outcomes, only one of which is anywhere near positive. The rest are all utter catastrophes and complete disasters, obviously, because as human beings, we are absolutely wired negatively rather than positively. And so we pick one of those disastrous endings and we convince ourselves that that is how things are going to be. And we fixate on that thought and we grow it and we pad it out and we flesh it out and we make it feel real. And the emotion that then comes along is anxiety. And why is it anxiety? Because, as with all your emotions, anxiety has a job to do. It has a message to deliver to you. And anxiety's message is that you're in danger. 9 times out of 10, anxiety is there to warn you that you are in danger. And so, even though it's only happening in your head, anxiety appears because your subconscious mind has no real understanding of past, present, or future. It doesn't really get the concepts. It just knows, it just thinks whatever you're focusing on in here, that is your reality now. And so it will bring you the relevant emotion to whatever it is you're imagining in here. So when we're imagining disasters, which quite often with change is when we look at change, we don't think, oh, everything will change and it will be brilliant, hooray. More often than not, especially when it's change that's forced upon us, we think, oh, everything's changing and I don't feel safe anymore and it's not the same as it was and I don't really know what is going to happen next. That tends to be our reaction to change. And we take hold of that thought and we decide, we make it up That's what's happening. We make it up. We imagine what's going to happen. And like I say, 9 times out of 10, it's a disaster that we imagine. And so anxiety comes along, say, oh, hang on a minute. You're in danger. You have to stop whatever you're doing because it's dangerous. You're not safe anymore. Okay. So that's why change and anxiety seem to go hand in hand. All of your emotions have a message to deliver. For me, there is no such thing as a negative emotion. Every single one of your emotions is there to tell you something. So whether it's anxiety or stress or depression, whether these changes, however these changes are affecting you, whatever emotions they're bringing up for you, what I would ask you to do is to absolutely give yourself the time and the space to listen to whatever those messages are. Because your emotions, even anxiety, even the ones that feel challenging or difficult, even the ones that feel like they're out to get you, I absolutely promise they are not out to get you. They are there to give you a message. That's all they're doing. So when I talk about this, I use an analogy. So I want you to imagine that you have decided to have a really relaxing day. You've decided to recline on your sofa all day and stay there and just relax. And after about half an hour of relaxing on your sofa, the postman arrives at your door because he has a parcel to deliver to you. And so he knocks on the door. And you know what? You're just too busy relaxing and you can't really be bothered to get up and go and find out what the postman wants. So you just ignore the door. Well, so then the postman knocks a bit harder and a bit more forcefully. But you know what? You're just so busy relaxing, you can't really be bothered. You just don't want to get up. You're quite happy sitting on the sofa. And so you don't answer the door. So the postman now takes his finger and puts it on the doorbell. Well, now, do you know, actually, you're getting a little bit annoyed now because you were quite happy and relaxed and he's disturbing your peace now. So, do you know what? You don't want to answer the door. So you're just going to go into the back of the house where you can't hear the doorbell quite so well. Well, now the postman takes his finger, puts it on the doorbell and leaves it there for 15 minutes. Well, now you're really annoyed because now he's properly disturbing. I'm not answering the door now. You can just go away. And eventually the postman will give up and go away. Hooray! I beat the postman. But he will come back the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day because he has a parcel to deliver. He's not trying to wind you up. He's not trying to stress you out. He's not trying to annoy you or make you angry. He is literally just trying to do his job, which is to deliver his parcel. And your emotions are exactly the same. From anxiety through to depression, through to fear, to anything at all that you are experiencing emotionally, all has a message for you. And what we do as human beings, because those feelings don't feel very nice, because those difficult emotions don't feel very good, rather than face them and find out what their message is, when we feel them, we try and do this. We try and hide and go, I can't hear you. And la la la, I'm over here. I don't even know who you are. Tra la la. Or we try and run away from them. Or we push against them and say, no, I don't want to feel you. Go away. And that tends to be our reaction to difficult emotions, one of those 3 reactions. And what we're doing in any of those reactions is not allowing the emotion to deliver its message. So guess what? In exactly the same way as the postman keeps coming back, that emotion is going to keep coming back. It's going to keep knocking on your door until you open it and allow it to tell you why it's there. So by trade, part of what I do is I am a mindfulness practitioner. And what mindfulness teaches us to do is to turn towards those emotions and go through them, because that is absolutely the only way that you come out the other side of anything. There's a very famous children's book called We're Going on a Bear Hunt. And it's about a group of children who decide to tramp off across the fields on a bear hunt. And as they go on their journey, they come up against a number of obstacles. So they come up to a forest, they come up to a swamp and a storm. And every time they come up to one of the obstacles, the book says, so they come up to a forest and the book says, we can't go over it, can't go under it, can't go round it, we have to go through it. They come up to the storm, we can't go over it, can't go under it, can't go round it, have to go through it. Because it's the only way through. And that book is about emotions. Your emotions are the same. We have to go through them to come out the other side of them. And then once you do that, I promise you'll never experience those emotions in the same way again. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is to start listening. If anxiety is what's coming up for you, whatever's coming up for you around the changes that are happening, I'm going to encourage you to start listening to the message. How on earth do you do that? I'm going to ask you to make yourself comfortable in your seat and close your eyes. And I want you to take a lovely, slow, deep breath in for me and hold it at the top. And as you breathe out, just feel a wave of relaxation flowing all the way through your body. Just let yourself relax down a bit. And then in your mind's eye, I want you to imagine a beautiful, safe place. So it might be a garden, it might be a beach, it might be a living room, it might be anywhere at all that for you feels safe. And I want you to imagine that you're sitting with a cup of tea, and I want you to invite the emotion, anxiety, whatever the emotion is, to come and have a cup of tea with you. And I want you to imagine yourself sitting with the emotion, both of you having a cup of tea, and simply ask the question. Ask the emotion, why are you here? What do you have to tell me? And listen. I promise the answer will come. Listen to whatever the answer is. Sometimes those things are really easy to deal with and obvious, and sometimes you might have to dig a little bit deeper. But you can absolutely always get to the bottom of what that emotion is there to tell you. And once you know what it's there to tell you, then you know what you need to do. Then you can deal with it. And as I say, 9 times out of 10 with anxiety, which is what this webinar's primarily about, with anxiety, it's about not feeling safe. It's about being in danger in some way. And once you get that message, then you can reassure yourself and the anxiety that's having the cup of tea with you. You can reassure both of you that actually, do you know what? That thought that you wandered off into the future with, you were making it up. It's actually not happening right now. That thing that you're scared of, that thing that the anxiety's come to warn you about, isn't actually happening right now. So anxiety is a future-based emotion. Okay, so when we're dealing with anxiety, we are living in the future. We are not living in the present moment. And so one of the simplest ways to deal with anxiety, to overcome anxiety, to cope with anxiety, is to practice bringing ourselves into the present moment as often as we can. As human beings, bless our cottons, what we tend to do, instead of rooting ourselves in this moment, in this one here, this moment right now, this one, which I'll tell you a secret, right now is all we ever have. It's all any of us have ever got right now. But what we do as human beings is we tend to spend our time living in the past, where whatever rubbish might have happened, and we pick that past up and we bring it into our present and we allow it to inform our thoughts, our feelings and our behaviours here. But it doesn't belong there. It belongs over there. It's done, it's gone, it's happened, it's past. But we keep it alive by bringing it into our present. And if we're not living in the past, we're fretting about the future. What might be, what could be, what might happen, what might not happen. Something happens and within 5 minutes you've catastrophized it to the nth degree and the whole world's ended. But the only place that anything's actually happened is in here. So what mindfulness teaches us to do in particular is to root ourselves here in this moment where none of that's happening and none of that's happening, right in this moment. So again, with a lot of the members of the club over the last few months, especially as we've come out of lockdown and back to normal life, and people are doing things like traveling, going back to offices, going on buses, trains, all of that. What they're doing is panicking and worrying about, well, what if this happens? Anxiety is all about what if. What if this happens? What if I catch the coronavirus? What if the office doesn't work properly? What if everything falls apart? What if this? What if that? What if? What if? What if? What if? What if? What if? Is any of that actually happening now? Is the best question you can ever ask yourself. When you realize that what you've done is gone into overdrive in here, the simplest question you can ask yourself is any of that actually happening right now? 9 times out of 10, if not more, the answer to that question will be no. No, it's not happening. Am I making that up now? Yes, you are. What is actually happening right now? So that's the series of questions. Is what I'm imagining actually happening right now? More times than not, no. I've forgotten what the next question was. Is any of it actually happening right now? No. Am I making it up? Yes. So what is actually happening right now? What actually is going on? Well, actually, I'm just stood by the bus stop waiting for the bus. That's all that's happening right now. Or I'm standing in the office, or I'm sitting at my desk in the office doing my work. That's all that's actually happening right now. The person that I imagine coming over and having a conversation without a mask on and giving me something, and none of that's actually happening. Okay. So it's always about bringing yourself back into the present moment. What is actually happening right now? Okay. So there's that series of questions to use. And then what we want to do is, on a general daily regular basis, is we want to practice rooting ourselves in the present moment. And there are 2 or 3 ways that we can do that beautifully. And the first way involves me in a moment. I'm going to set a timer on my phone for 1 minute. And I'm going to ask you, for that 1 minute, I'm going to ask you to sit somewhere comfortably while you watch this. So get comfortable wherever you're sitting. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. And for that 1 minute, I'm going to ask you to focus on every breath in and every breath out. There is nothing more in the moment than your breathing. Every breath in is a moment in time. Every breath out is a moment in time. When we focus on our breath, we are absolutely as present as we can possibly be. As soon as you start focusing on your breath, a gazillion thoughts about all the stuff you haven't done today, all the stuff you needed to do today, all the things you're worried about and the things you want to know, and blah, 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 and everything, that email you didn't send and the phone call you need to make, and blah, 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 blah. Everything is going to crowd into your mind. Just when you notice that that's happened, just gently bring your focus back to your breath. And again, shortly after you do that, your mind's going to wander off again into fantasy land, into daydream land, into thinking about what you've got to do, what you need to do, blah, 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 blah. Just gently bring your focus back to your breath. And it'll go off again, and you just gently bring your focus back to your breath. Just for 1 minute. So ready? Make sure you're sitting comfortably. Close your eyes for me. And your 1 minute starts now. Just focus on every breath in and every breath out. And that's your 1 minute. So just gently open your eyes and come back to full awareness. So my challenge for you from this day forth is to do that every day, at least once a day. Find somewhere comfy to sit, set a timer on your phone or your watch or your tablet, whatever works for you, for 1 minute. And for that 1 minute, do exactly what we've just done. Focus on every breath in, every breath out. Your mind will wander off. It's what it's made to do, to think. Don't beat yourself up for going off on a thought train. Just when you notice that you're doing it, bring your focus back to your breath. And then bring your focus back to your breath. Just for 1 minute. When you get used to doing it for 1 minute, do it for 2, and then for 3, and then for 4. When you get to 5 minutes, it is officially called meditation, and it is the most gorgeous way of rooting yourself in this moment, in the present moment, in the right now. Not there or there, but right here. So at least once a day for 1 minute every day. You will, it sounds like that would be nothing, but I promise you will feel the difference. If that appeals to you as a technique, and or if you are experiencing a lot of anxiety, then do it more than once a day. I have clients who literally set an alarm on the hour, every hour, and they stop whatever they're doing and do the 1 minute and then carry on with whatever they were doing. 1 minute an hour really isn't a lot of time, but you will be constantly rooting yourself in the present moment. What you'll notice over time is that you start to feel calmer and more relaxed generally, but you'll also notice that that overthinking, that running away with the thoughts, happens less and less and less the more and more you practice being here now. A quicker version of that, if you find yourself in the throes of anxiety and you don't have somewhere that you can sit comfortably for 1 minute and do that technique, then again, what we want to do is snap ourselves back into the present moment as soon as we possibly can. And for that, we use what I call the snap back breath, which does exactly what it says on the tin. As I said before, anxiety is a future-based emotion. When you are in anxiety, you are somewhere in the future, in an imaginary, made-up future. And so we want to snap ourselves back into the present moment. And so the simplest, easiest, quickest way to do that is to really, as soon as you notice what you're doing, is to bring yourself straight to focusing on your breath. So sometimes when we experience anxiety to any great degree, it might cause a panic attack. It might cause our breathing to change. It can become quite shallow and fast. And in that case, it's really quite hard to do a slow, deep breath. So don't worry about having to do a slow, deep breath. Literally just bring your attention to your breath. So notice how it feels going in your nose or in your mouth, however it's going. Notice how it feels coming out. Notice what it sounds like. Notice what it smells like. Notice what the temperature of the air of it against your skin is like. Put as many of your senses as you possibly can onto your breath, just for 3 or 4 breaths to bring yourself back to a place of center. Just snap yourself straight back into the present moment. And the easiest way to do that is to focus on your breath. Another way of practicing being in the present moment is to practice my favorite thing of all time, which is appreciation. Alongside love and joy, appreciation is the purest, most positive emotion you will ever experience. And the more that we can practice appreciation, the more time we can spend in the emotion of appreciation, the less time we spend in negative land, the less time we spend in overthinking, the less time we spend focusing on things negatively, and the more we switch our focus to seeing how amazing and beautiful this world actually is, how amazing and beautiful we are, and how amazing and beautiful our lives are. So, a couple of ways that you can practice appreciation really quickly, really easily. Again, you might want to set reminders on your phone or your tablet to remind you to do this stuff. Set them at random times of the day. And every time it goes off, just look around wherever you are, look around. So I'm sat at my desk now. So I'm just going to look around and see whatever I notice. So do you know what? I've noticed this bracelet that my beautiful youngest daughter made. Bless her cottons. So now I'm going to give that my full attention, just for 10 seconds even. But I'm going to look at all the different colours. There's loads of lovely different colours, and she's done a lovely pattern. And do you know what? She's done the same number of beads in every colour, and it goes around, and that's going to fit. And she made that and she gave it to me with absolute love and joy. Bless her cottons. So that's not just a bracelet. That is, that's a thing of beauty for me on so many levels. Okay. What else can I see? Okay. I can see, I'm just going to show you how to do this. I can see a packet of chewing gum. What's to appreciate about that, Joe? Well, actually, do you know what? It's my favorite color. Blue is my favorite color, and it's got several different shades of blue on it, and it's got my initial on it. Hurrah. And it goes with this one that has my husband's initial on it. So the heart fits together. How cute is that? Lovely. So what else can I appreciate? Do you know what? Actually, I'm thinking about the taste of that in my mouth and how lovely and refreshing and waking up that is. And do you see what I mean? You can literally find anything to appreciate. Look around you wherever you are. When your reminder goes off, take a second to look around you, see what there is, and just focus your attention on whatever that thing is with the sense of appreciation. What about this can I appreciate? The colors, the shapes, the smells, the textures, what about it can I appreciate in this moment? Just for 5 or 10 seconds, and then put it down and carry on with whatever you were doing. What that does is start to raise your awareness. It starts to raise your awareness of the fact that even chewing gum is something that can be appreciated. It starts to raise your awareness of all the brilliant stuff there is around you. It starts to raise your awareness of all the beautiful stuff you have in your life. And it starts to shift your focus onto that beautiful stuff and away from. It isn't about ignoring the negative stuff. It isn't about pretending the negative stuff isn't there. It is simply about shifting your focus so that you see the good stuff. We are not taught to see the good stuff. We're not taught to actively find the good stuff in our lives. And appreciation is one of the simplest practices that can help you to do that. The last technique that I want to teach you today is my absolute favorite. It is an appreciation technique, and it's called the GLAD exercise. So it's a little bit longer and a little bit more involved than that just quick looking around you and seeing what you can appreciate exercise. This one, I want you to take some time at the end of every day, sit down at the end of your day. So you can do this at the end of your working day. You can do this at the end of your actual day. You can do both, whatever works best for you. And you reflect back over that particular day. So it's just about that day. And the rules are, because there are always rules, that you have to find at least 5 things from that day to be glad about. And you will have days where they absolutely trip off your tongue. You've had a brilliant day, hurrah, hurrah. You've got a million things. Don't misunderstand me. Don't think Joe said 5, I can stop now. If you've got more, say more. If you've got 10 or 50 or a gazillion, say 10 or 50 or a gazillion. Don't stop at 5. Keep going. The preference is to verbalize them, say them out loud, because they go in here deeper. You are thinking it, you are saying it, you are hearing it, you're using more of your faculties, goes in here deeper, okay? If you feel a bit of a nana doing it by yourself out loud, then get other people involved. Do it with the people you work with, do it with the people you live with. If you have children, please, please, please do it with your children. Most beautiful thing you will ever teach them to do for themselves. And if they're little, some of the things they say will melt your heart and remind you what's actually important in life. If that doesn't work for you, the next best thing you can do is write them down, because again, you are thinking them, you're writing them, you're reading them as you're writing them, using more of your faculties. They go in here deeper, they have more of an impact in here. And as I say, you'll have days where they trip off your tongue, so keep going. And then you're going to have days where you struggle to get to 3, but you've got to get to 5. And the reason you've got to get to 5 is because what we're doing is training our brains to look this way instead of this way. We're training them to find the good stuff. The other reason on those days where it's hard to get to 3 that you've got to get to 5 is because what getting to 5 does is it makes you look at all the boring, ordinary, everyday, yawnable stuff that's in your life, that's been in your life for so long you walk past it with blinkers on every day and pay it no attention whatsoever. It makes you look at that stuff and appreciate the hell out of it. So I had a client a number of years ago, and I taught him this because I teach it to everyone. And he came back for his next session, and I asked him how he was getting on with the glads, and he said, "Oh, I'm struggling, man." And I said, "Oh no, are you?" He said, "Yeah, found it really hard to get to 5 things every day." He said, "I got to 3 last night and thought I've got to get to 5 because I'm seeing Joe tomorrow. So I just said, I'm glad that I had porridge for my breakfast, and I'm glad I've just had a cup of tea. They're rubbish ones, aren't they?" Bless him. And I said, "No, they're brilliant. They're 2 of the best I've ever heard. Because where would you be without food? And where would you be without drink? Absolute fundamentals that keep your body alive, which is what we're after." And after he'd gone, I pondered to myself the process of making a cup of tea. So come with me on a journey to make a cup of tea. So you decide you want a cup of tea. You go into your kitchen and you open a cupboard, because you've got cupboards on the walls in your kitchen with doors that open and close to keep the things inside the cupboard safe. You open the cupboard and you take out a mug that someone else has made with their skill and talent and ability and sold to a shop that you've gone in with the money that you earn doing whatever it is you do and decided you like that mug enough to buy it and bring it home and put it in the cupboard with the door that opens and closes to keep it safe. You take that mug out and you put it on the side. And then you open another cupboard and you get out a box of tea bags, little squares or circles full of tea that someone else has grown and picked and harvested and packaged up into that square or circle, so that all you have to do is take it out the box and put it in that mug. And when you've done that, you pick your kettle up and you go over to the sink and you do that to the tap, and water comes out. Someone has arranged it so that all these pipes and things come into your house at this exact point, so that all you have to do is that to the tap, and fresh, clean, amazing, life-giving water comes out of that tap so that you can fill your kettle. And when your kettle's full, you do that again and the water stops, so your house doesn't flood. Brilliant. You take the kettle over and you plug it in and you press a button, and someone else has arranged it so all these wires and things come into your house at this exact point, so that all you have to do is press a button and it makes the water hot. Not only does it make the water hot, makes it the perfect temperature to make yourself a cup of tea with. Not only does it make it the perfect temperature, it stops itself when it gets there, and it tells you that it's done it. So that all you have to do is pick that kettle up and pour that boiling hot water onto that tea bag in that mug, that make yourself a drink that sustains your body and keeps you alive. I find that entire process astounding. Amazing that we as human beings have the intelligence, the ability, the innovation, the capability to make something so complicated so simple, and we pay it no attention whatsoever. We just have a cup of tea. Should we have a cup of tea? Let's have a cup of tea. When you play the GLAD exercise consistently and constantly, and that is absolutely the key, consistently and constantly, that is how you start to see every single thing in the world around you. I absolutely promise it will blow your mind. This world blows my mind on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, because I play the GLAD exercise every day, and I have done for about 8 years. The GLAD exercise by itself changed my life 8 years ago. I used to live in anxiety, and the GLAD exercise is one of the key techniques that I used to bring myself out the other side of experiencing anxiety to that level. It's about bringing yourself back into the present moment as often as you can and appreciating absolutely everything that you possibly can as often as you possibly can. Please remember that change equals growth. When I talk to people about change, I very much ask them to swap the words out. I ask them, stop thinking of it as change and start thinking of it as growth. Every time we are presented with change, we are presented with the opportunity to grow in some way. I know it's scary and I know it can trigger that anxiety, but keep bringing yourself back to the present moment and keep appreciating every last little thing that you possibly can. And I promise that you will come out the other side of that anxiety. I really hope that you have enjoyed this session today. I really hope that you found it useful. And if you have any questions, please get in touch with me. Take care of yourselves. Bye.